wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Yo. Set your affirmations, aspirations. I got shit to do, the aftermath of preparation. Good food, good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time, yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day, call it replication. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Welcome to the 7th installment of my Haunted October series. We're fresh off the first annual Tennessee Haunts and Legends Expo with my new best friends, Todd and LeAnne from the Black Wolf Paranormal in Gallatin, Tennessee. And our ankles all hurt because we worked a day of retail yesterday in a convention center.
Yes, we did.
Mm-hmm. So you're the leaders of the Black Wolf Paranormal team out of Gallatin, and you specialize in local haunts. What was you just telling me? They'll come through Mount Brushy.
Yeah, up there at the historic Scott County Jail. It's close to Brushy, so if you take a trip to historic Scott County Jail, you can kind of be fairly close to Brushy and take a trip by there. And yeah, that place is awesome. Both of them amazing places.
That's what I couldn't remember. I tried to write it down real quick, and I was doing like 3 things and forgot.
Right.
What involvement do you have with the Bell Witch? I know. I mean, so I got this T-shirt, this sweet T-shirt of yours on. That's I got yesterday from you.
We are. I guess you'd call us the home team for the paranormal up there at the Bell Witch Cave up in Adams, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
We became real good friends with the owners, and they've allowed us to lead their public investigations once a month through their open season, which is from May through October. And we actually have an event a week from tomorrow, the day before Halloween, that has sold out completely. And we'll start again, all over again, come May, and be doing it once a month. And we cap it at about 30 people. We break into 3 groups of 10, and there are 3 locations on the property that we investigate, and one of those locations is the cave.
At the cave, that's a new hot spot, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a pretty good hot spot. The other 2 locations, one being the replica cabin from the John Bell home.
Mm-hmm.
That one has been amping up a lot as of late. And the 3rd location that we investigate is the Indian burial ground above the cave.
I mean, if you go on that, do you get to see all 3?
You do.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do. And
say, I hate to go up there and pay the money and not get to go to the cave. I'm like, well, son of a bitch.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
in the garden.
The way that we do it, like I said, we cap it at 30 people. We break into 3 groups of 10, and then we'll spend about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes in each location, and then rotate. Have about a 15-minute break to get hydrated and snacks and whatever, and move on to the next location.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little station in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not an overnight kind of thing. Then it's just an evening / afternoon.
It's a 6-hour investigation that starts at roughly around 7 o'clock and ends at 1 a.m.
I will definitely have to get involved in that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, we definitely would love to have you. We got some pretty good this season. One in particular apparition was caught by one of our guests at our August paranormal event. And he was actually just walking around the cabin and was taking a series of pictures. And he had taken a series of 10 shots. And you can see in number 8 something forming in front of the the doorway. It's almost like something was starting to manifest. And then after that, the next picture is a full-blown man standing in the doorway. And the cool part of it is John Bell Jr. looked extremely similar to what was captured in that picture. So that actually blew me away. And I know there was another Bell member that had said that he thought it looked very much like John Bell Jr. And so I've got some historic books with his picture in it. Went back and looked, and I mean, it's very uncanny that.
I mean, it facial shape, shoulders, cane, rifle, whatever. I mean, it's very similar to the picture that we have of John Bell Jr.
Oh, it had like an accessory, like a cane?
Yeah,
Yes.
he's holding a cane, and the picture that I've got, he's holding something in the picture that when he was alive, and
that picture is on our Facebook page.
it is. It's on the picture that was captured at our event is on our Facebook page, and
It's been shared over 700 times.
yeah, it's an awesome catch. You know, we were definitely not expecting that at all, and you know, nobody was expecting that. Even the owners, they were like, "Are you kidding me right now?" So, yeah, that was pretty cool.
It's crazy that it's you say the replica cabin.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's crazy it was just in there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the room that this was caught in, they actually have relics in that in that particular room from the Bell home, from John Bell's home.
So it had something it could theoretically be attached to then. All right, that makes
True. Yep. And the land there was owned by John Bell Jr. And the Bell family. So that was the extension of their land there. So, there's a whole lot of, connections to the Bells. So, but that was so neat to catch.
I was looking through trying to find that picture while you were talking there. There's so many of them.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Too much Ernie in here. A lot of Ernie.
I know.
Did you say so much of Ernie? Oh, Lord.
There's a lot of Ernie in this photo album. I'm scrolling.
Well, and it should be under our Black Wolf page.
Yeah, that's what I'm at.
Yeah.
It'd be funny if I was scrolling through Pac-Man. Like dang, there's a lot of Ernie in here. Oh wait, it's his page. That's okay. Yeah, you've been to a ton of places.
Yeah.
We've been to a few locations. We started out leading investigations. We were paranormal leads at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital for a time. We moved on to Waverly Hills and was there, and where we became, best friends with Ernie and Denise, and have.
Speaking of Denise,
hello,
hey
Denise.
Denise.
Ernie says as it should be.
And
that's hilarious.
I mean, we've done, and we've been to a lot of locations with those guys. We've done Ross Opera House. We've done Fort Duffield. Lord, I mean, there's just Brushy Mountain, Rosemont in Gallatin, Trousdale Place. Well, I did have a list. I mean, we did Brushy Mountain, Willow's Wheat. What's the other one up there in Indiana? Monroe House.
Yeah.
And you get to doing some of these so much, they all kind of start to run together.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I feel you there. I've heard the stories of all these places, and they're running together in my mind. I'll be watching Jack Osborne. Yeah. He'll show up at a place I've been at and say things. I'm like, that's not what happened at all, Jack.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I know people, man.
Oh yeah.
You're lying.
Yeah, and I think another thing that we've done is
that's a given.
Yeah, it is.
We're getting haunted by Ernie Pack from the grave over here.
Was he on another one?
No, he's on the chat.
Okay. Well, we see Denise, but we don't see.
I don't see Ernie.
He's driving.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
She's speaking like a medium.
Yeah, she is. But no, going out with Squatch Man, I think that one's
Well, that's
been,
another one. Yeah, up in the forest in Indiana, and spending time with Squatch Man at Fort Duffield.
Yeah.
It has been an experience in itself. I mean, we've been out. I don't know, just about every time we've been out doing the Squatch thing. I mean, even my first time ever going squatching with Ernie and Denise and Squatch Man, we had a group of people out in the forest in Indiana. We were at a campsite. There was a couple of picnic tables around, and Ernie and Squatch Man were kind of out front, kind of pointing out some stuff that was going on. There was a group of about 5 or 6. Anyway, there was about five or six people sitting at a picnic table watching Ernie and Squatch Man, and I was kind of back behind everybody off to one side, sitting at a picnic table, and there was a cooler over my left shoulder. And Ernie and Squatch are pointing things out, and all of a sudden you hear Ernie go, shh, shh, and you hear coming through the trees from a distance, just, and then wham! Whatever it was thrown a good distance away and hit the cooler right over my shoulder. Yep, I peed a little.
Yeah, a little came out on that one.
Yeah, so that was the first time. There was another time, and I can't remember exactly where we were. It may have been Gates of Hell, Casey Cemetery. We were walking through there.
Aptly named. And
we heard a few tree knocks, and then all of a sudden something hits about 15 feet in front of me. Mm-hmm. So the next time there was another
Fort Duffield.
Fort Duffield was the last one, and it had been a while. And I'm walking with Ernie and Denise and LeAnne, and I'm about 10 or 15 yards in front of them, and at my feet something hits. And I had a few explicits that time. NFW was, I think, is what it was.
NFW. Yeah, I mean, that explains it 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like they just have a tendency they want to throw stuff at me. Mm-hmm. And I think Ernie and Greg and LeAnne have come to the conclusion that Squatch talk amongst themselves, and they know where I'm going to be. So the last event we had up at
yeah, we did.
I thought we threw it.
I did.
He was mad at us.
I turned around and barked at him real good. Well, the last event we had up there at Fort Duffield, we had a little campfire thing. Mm-hmm. It was a great turnout. We had a great time. But when we were doing the introductions, I actually had my tack helmet on, just to make sure nothing was getting thrown at me.
Didn't have a GoPro on it turned backwards?
No, I thought about it. I think I can actually set that helmet up to have 360 with the. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Denise. Yeah, you throw like a girl.
Yeah. I didn't realize this would get so chirpy up in here so quick.
Oh yeah. Well, when your best friends are out there having a good time,
Yeah.
It always happens. So
yeah, it's I could imagine like having to weed through what's a prank and what's not, but I would think the'd be a code of ethics to not do too much.
Yeah.
There is definitely.
Because you gotta stop fucking with me, man.
Right.
Yeah.
I shit myself.
Yes, exactly. And I mean, we have, we have stories on each other that we can talk all night on, and
mm-hmm.
and that's one of the things when we investigate with Ernie and Denise, and things get a little crazy. When it's just LeAnne and I at a location, or Ernie and Denise at a different location, things happen, but low key. You get the 4 of us together in the same room or on the same piece of land, same property. Mm-hmm. Things have a tendency to just kind of, I don't want to say get out of control, but sometimes it's just a little over the top.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going to tell on Ernie. We were
he's not here. He can't defend himself.
Yeah, we were at Ra's Opera House, and LeAnne, Ernie, and I went up there the weekend before we were going to have an event, and we're sitting up in the balcony, and LeAnne and I are on the front row at opposite ends of the seats on the front row of the balcony, and Ernie's about 3/4 of the way up, kind of behind where LeAnne was sitting. Well, we're sitting there and we're focused on the stage, and some of the equipment we had set up on the stage was going off here and there, and it got to where it felt like we were being distracted by the stage.
Yeah, we felt like, I was really on guard because I kept thinking something's fixing to happen on the stage. And it almost felt like the energy, you could feel the energy amping. So,
but, as we're focused and watching the equipment, you hear the door behind us, and we know we were the only ones in the building because we were locked in. The door behind us, you hear the door creak open. It's like, and then you hear it close. Of course, we all turn around and look and are kind of sitting there, kind of freaked out by it for a moment, and then kind of focus goes back to the stage. Well, as we're sitting there focused on the stage, everything's quiet, calm, cool, collective. We're focused on the stage. Then all of a sudden you hear Ernie scream. And, Ernie screamed like a girl. But to hear Ernie tell it, that was his Cherokee war cry.
Right.
But what had happened is Ernie was sitting up there relaxed, focused on the stage, and looked over his shoulder, and there was a lady standing right there.
Oh, gosh.
And it took him a minute to get his wits about him to where he could explain to us what was going on.
So mind you, I'm on the front row.
Yeah, I was getting there.
Of this balcony.
She made it, the front row of the balcony, of course, the aisle on the front row of the balcony is, 8 or 10 inches wide where you got the seats. She made it from one end to where I was sitting like that. How she did it without going over the edge is beyond me.
Well, and we have investigated with Ernie so much. Ernie doesn't scream like that unless there is something seriously going on. If you see Ernie running, run. Because typically we walk right into stuff. We go right in. And to hear him scream like that, it scared the crap out of me.
To his defense, he was caught off guard.
Right.
He wasn't expecting to turn around and see this woman standing next to him. And by the time he got his sense about him,
screamed.
By the time he got his sense about him and kind of turned back around, she was gone, and we hear the door open and close again. And
it's all a ghost. He can scream. It's okay.
Yeah, it's like any of us. We're in this for that personal epic moment.
Yeah, and the Holy Grail, I call it, the full body.
Yeah. Right. And Ernie's just happened to be that night, and I don't fault him for screaming like that. I just like making fun of him. But anyway, he makes it sound.
That's called a slagle, screaming like a girl out loud.
Okay, but he had to compose himself after that, and the night. It proved to be a great night for us on our pre-investigation, and then when we got out there the next weekend and did our event, we had a lot of good activity. Everybody had a good time. Everybody was involved, and we actually got a few pictures and some videos of things we can't explain. And we've had other people look at it and just kind of say, "Good catch, can't explain it."
Yeah.
But like I said, anytime the 3 or 4 of us are together, something
weird happens.
We'll call it weird or epic happens.
Yeah, epic, monumental. Let me ask this. We'll get kind of deep into it. I guess I'm speaking to Denise and Ernie too by way of the Facebook chat. So
yeah,
they have any of you you don't have to get any details. Have any of you had like near-death experiences or died on the table before, or had like a head trauma?
I have. I've had a back in '88. I had an automobile accident that I was pronounced DOA.
There you go.
I was brought back, and it was definitely an experience. And one of the things, and I guess it kind of goes back to that experience to where from time to time I'll get a feeling of being in a dark room. with a fluid floor, where the floor looks like water and has a light reflecting off of it, and always have a hard time trying to understand where the light is coming from. And some of the people that I've talked to have basically said that, that light that I'm seeing is me. So it's just, and it's one of those things. And then after that, I've tried to figure out if things have been more active for me after that. And
I don't know.
I think in some areas it has been more active, and it has opened me up to other areas of the paranormal, and just still trying to learn those areas and learn those feelings, and trying to learn how to work it all.
It just seems like a commonality of things I've heard. Just everybody that has the really good, like almost can have lucid dreams with the entities, be it Bigfoot or aliens or what have you. They always have that, because Long Island Bigfoot from up in by Montauk, he got hit by an IED in Iraq, got rebuilt like the $6 million man, and now he can do like Mr. Yost does, call him in kind of telepathically or whatever.
Yeah.
It's interesting that everybody said yes to that question. I was like, wow, okay. Definitely doesn't hurt matters or help.
No.
Or whatever, however you say it, doesn't assist it any.
Right.
And I think it just helps us become a little more aware.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know who this is. I'll have to check the Facebook chat. Buddy Bernie died 8 times. He said he woke by a bunch of doors every time he would open one. It set him back. Ooh, wow. That's a Stephen King novel.
Yeah.
We have another friend of ours that she's something else when it comes to her abilities.
Yeah.
And I think it was 8 or 10 times that she has died and come back to life, and it's been over several different things. And she's just, like I said, her abilities and what she does for the paranormal community is awesome.
It'll blow your mind.
And she's one of those people that vibrate at a higher frequency than anybody that I've ever met.
It's crazy to see people who you like, people like me who can't, don't have any experiences. Even though I haven't really tried, but I don't think I could even. Maybe I've been in the woods for thousands of hours, never seen the hint of a Bigfoot. Well, I guess it's normal for most people, but you guys go out there and get the rocks thrown at you.
Yeah, well,
right. Well, and other things too. We, going with Greg, he's got this area where he is over time figured out different things that they like. And we've actually taken, is it raspberry filled
Krispy Kreme donuts?
Yes. And he's got a gifting stump. And where we camp where we set up camp, we'll sit by the fire, and the gifting stump is in the woods, like fairly close, but it's at a good distance to where, if something did walk up, we would never scare them. And so one night we had taken the donuts up there and set them down on the gifting stump, and we told them, we said, if you want to walk up and try to get one out of here, feel free to. I kid you not.
Now, mind you, these are still in the Krispy Kreme box with the little seal
latch, the little latch thing.
Yeah,
the little latch thing and the sticker going over the little latch.
Yeah.
And you got the little cellophane window on top. So this box is sitting on the gifting stump.
And we, go back out. We're sitting by the fire, just, talking. And, about an hour went by, and we thought, you know what, let's just go check it and see. So we go back into the woods, several of us. I think Ernie, Denise, me, I believe Todd was with us. We go and look at it, and there is what looks like a slit down the top of it, perfect, a slit. And something had reached down in there.
There was a thumbprint
There was a thumbprint in one of
in
them.
one of the donuts. Yeah.
Oh,
And then,
which might have been on the plastic. That'd have been cool to get.
yeah,
No, it was actually in the donut.
in the donut.
Mash.
Yeah, and it was almost like something had like tried it to see, tasted it. And so only one at that point was missing out of that. And the weird part of it was, because we sit there, we're trying to debunk all of it, and we're like, okay, what animal walks up to this, does a solid slit, doesn't destroy the whole package? If it was a raccoon, just completely destroy, the package. It didn't. Just one slit, reached down in there, had a thumbprint in one of them, and then it reached over to the other one, picked it out, and it was gone. Only one.
Yeah, the coon would have tore it to pieces.
Right. So
that's what you see. You see a lot of that with the gifting with the peanut butter too. How a coon would just rip the top off and instead of unscrewing it. So Krispy Kreme raspberry.
Raspberry Krispy Kreme, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm part Sasquatch apparently.
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
That explains the hairy face and the skunk smell.
Yeah.
But we all have differences in opinions on the Squatch. Some of us think that it's interdimensional, and can be in the multi places, and it shows itself in what we call a shimmer Squatch.
The cloaking.
The cloaking. Think of the movie Predator in the Predator vision, and we've been out in the forest and looked up in the tree and actually seen that pixelated look up in the trees. But to answer the question right there on the screen, I don't think it's wise to get out and do any kind of investigation while you're intoxicated.
Yeah, or anything.
Right.
Or whether it be, high on weed or alcohol, it's not safe. As far as being susceptible to the paranormal or what you're sensing, when you do not have control of your bodies or your mind, you could potentially, like I said, get hurt, open yourself up to something that you really don't want to open yourself up to, and not be able to protect yourself when you're faced with a situation in the paranormal. But as far as it making you more susceptible, I don't think so. I just, that would be more, it would open you up to your mind to playing tricks on you versus opening you up to where you understand what's going on in the paranormal. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, this is for those listening on the podcast, the apps. It's Kasoon from Sri Lanka, which I think that's where I'm getting two people mixed up, but I think that's where Kasoon is from. He wants to know if it's true that if you investigate while high or intoxicated, if you're more susceptible to sensing the paranormal, and that's what Todd was talking about. For those listening on their drive-in next Thursday, next Wednesday morning. I can imagine that that's literally the plot of every horror movie in the 80s.
Yeah.
Is people being drunk or high with their girlfriends in the woods, and just there you go.
And they always run in the house and go upstairs.
Right.
Into the barn full of axes.
Yeah, and that's one thing. Like when we do our events and stuff,
that's the number one rule.
That is on our rule list. If we suspect, that you're under the influence of alcohol, drugs, or anything like that, we ask you to leave. No refund. You've got to go because it's just not. It's not good to do.
That covers. We do that because it's safety for the person themselves. It's safety for the rest of the guests, and safety for the property.
Yeah, that's a huge liability.
Yeah.
Ernie's back.
So I can still talk about you, Ernie. We can mute you.
Yeah. Hey, I'll send you a link and y'all can duke it out. I don't care.
Oh yeah, hey.
We'll have a round robin.
You might want to plan that for another night.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's not something for impromptus.
Now, like I said, I mean, we run with those guys all the time, and if you couldn't tell from yesterday or any of the podcasts that you may have seen us on together.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all good fun, and that's what we do when we do these investigations. That's also a number one rule, is you got to have a good time.
Mm-hmm.
You get out of what you put into these investigations, and if you come into an investigation with us with a bad attitude or had a bad day at work,
Or if you're trying to provoke, anything
Yeah.
like that, we're like, just don't do that. And, come in there and talk to the spirits, like you would talk to anybody. I mean, that's like when we go out in Bigfoot, we do the same thing, just be like you're talking to a normal person, and you will not believe what you would get out of it, just doing it like that. Run a recorder and just in general talk like you would, with anybody, and play it back, and you will have conversations that you're like, okay, that person wasn't even there. Like, I don't even recognize that voice, and
Mhm.
we've done that before and got some really weird stuff. So that's been interesting.
Do you ever run like the EVP recorder with the Bigfoot area?
yes,
Yeah.
we've done it actually. When we first started going out with Ernie and Denise and Squatch Man, we would go out and just kind of follow their lead up there, and then we started introducing the equipment that we use
Mhm.
for paranormal investigations: REM pods, uh, EMF detectors, the millimeter. We had a millimeter set up at the camp and got one of the highest ever readings over the mill that I've ever seen in any paranormal investigation or anywhere. And we were sitting there, checking it every few minutes or so, and it stayed at zero. Well, that particular REM or millimeter that we had a REM pod capability on it. Well, it started beeping on the REM pod. So we went over and checked. And the first time we checked it, and Ernie will correct me if I'm wrong, it was upwards of 186 or 189 on the mill reading.
Mhm.
I'd never seen a mill reading that high. And everything stopped. We went back over and checked it. It went back to zero. And then we had another REM hit on it and went back over there, and it jumped up to like 89 or 86. And back down, and then it just kept getting weaker and weaker as the time went on. And we had another REM pod set up over by the tents, and it was going off. We thought maybe there was a bug crawling on the antenna on the actual REM pod. Went over and checked that, and nothing. And it started going off on command. If you're over there, can you set it up? Just it was got to be a really weird night when we started introducing the paranormal stuff.
Mhm.
And one of the other things that we use in our investigations, whether it's the paranormal or whether we're out in the forest, we use the app Necrophonics. We've gone as far as buying a brand new phone, doing a fresh download of the app, and testing the app out. And we were at a haunted location in Franklin, Kentucky, called the Old Stone Jail when we did that. After we got the download and got it up and running, I asked, where did I drive up from? And it said Gallatin,
Ooh.
across Necrophonics.
Oh man.
Another guy asked, where did I drive down from? And he said, Lexington. Okay. What is my name? Todd. Okay, well, this is kind of weird, but okay.
Promising.
So we go on with our investigation that night, and we took it into a jail cell. And one of the peculiar things about it is the Necrophonics app, from time to time, will make sounds. But this particular night, right as we walked into the cell, we got the sound of a gunshot. We really didn't think nothing of it. We went on with our investigation, and we're asking questions, and then we got the date, February 8th. So we took that date to the curator or the director of the jail, asked him if the date meant anything, and he said, give me a minute, I'll get right back to you. About 45 minutes later, he comes to us and hands us a newspaper article dated February 13th. I think it was like a Thursday. And this past Saturday, an inmate was found in his jail cell with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. So you back that up from Thursday back to Saturday. It was
February 8th.
Mm-hmm.
So it was. So we kind of
That was cool.
put a lot of faith into that particular app. The necrophonics, it can be creepy.
Yeah.
Some of the voices that come across it, especially when you get the child voices. But I mean, we've used that in multiple locations. Ernie and Denise were at Lote's house down in Franklin, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
LeAnne and I were at Willow's Wheat up in Indiana, Attica, Indiana, around that area.
Yeah, in that area, yeah.
And we did a Facebook Live between us, and we had necrophonics running.
Scared me. Daughter walked in, scared the hell out of me just now. Go on, go.
Hello.
Good Lord. We're talking about this. That scared me to death. Lock that door back. Damn. Okay.
But like I said, Ernie and Denise were in Lote's house in Franklin, Tennessee.
Sorry.
And they asked, okay, where's Todd and LeAnne? And across necrophonics on their end, it said the Weep.
No shit, really?
No joke.
So we asked on our end, tell us where Ernie and Denise are. The necrophonics on our end said Lote's house. So it knows us, it knows where we are, and it's like I said, it gets creepy sometimes.
Yeah.
It's crazy that it knew the names for the places too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It knows the slang for it and whatnot.
I say all that to bring it back full circle to where we've actually introduced that to Greg, and he actually uses it out in the forest and gets actual responses to his questions that he's asking of Bigfoot or the forest people, or however you want to refer to them. And it could be kind of a double-edged sword, I guess you could say. There, he is either communicating with the spirits or the energies of the forest people or of Bigfoot, or he's actually picking up paranormal activity from the souls and energies of Indians, people that have died in the forest, people that were there before we were. So,
I mean, both are not wrong answers. There's no wrong answer to that question.
But it's very, very interesting, and we should get a sponsorship from Necrophonics.
We should. No kidding.
I should have said not a sponsor.
Yeah, I mean,
not a sponsor.
But we've used it in multiple locations and had some pretty defining moments. And there's a word I'm looking for and I can't find it. But
and the reason why, going back to when we downloaded it on a new phone, because we're going to question, is this really a good app? Because you never know. And Facebook, has, when you're asking about, maybe I want to buy a shirt, and all of a sudden you start seeing these ads on your phone for shirts. So
being a learned app.
So that's what we wanted to check and see, starting out on a brand new phone. Is this a learned app? Because then we would have just nixed it and said, okay, let's move on to something else. And I mean, it has been just crazy accurate with stuff. And
the new phone's a big deal. That's a huge piece of the puzzle.
And what makes it even more, I guess, more fun for us is, we introduce people to the Necrophonics app, kind of like Ernie said. We've had any investigation that we've done, we tell people about it and they go out and buy it.
Yeah.
And when they do these downloads and they come back and do an investigation with us, and it calls out Ernie or it calls out LeAnne, and we're not around their phone, and we're not typically in their conversations to where our names would be learned on their device.
Right. Hey, Courtney.
We've been at locations to where I've had a group of people sitting in a certain area at a location, and I've had Necrophonics tell them. To where I've come walking down the steps and around the corner, and before they see me or know that I'm there, Necrophonics is saying, "Here comes Todd."
How do you handle that information in the moment? Like when it happens, I know you're used to it or quasi used to it by now, but that would freak me out knowing that it was that kind
yeah.
of.
Yeah.
When you're at a location and some of the locations that we've volunteered and led investigations at, we were at Waverly Hills every weekend for about 8 months,
Mm-hmm.
and we were at Old South a lot longer than that, and we would spend the night there on the weekends, and the energies or the spirits in those locations would get to know you, and kind of know your routine when you're going around the building, and get comfortable communicating with you.
To the point, I've got an EVP. We would do a 360 EVP, and it blew my mind. The 360 EVP, how that works is everybody asks the same exact question, and we give like 7 seconds between each question. So same question by everybody, and the reason why we do that is some energy likes that person over, maybe Todd's. So it might want to communicate with that person over him. So I hit play on my recorder, and then you hear almost like a really deep breath. And this is over the questions that are being asked. So you can clearly tell that this is something out of the ordinary. You're like, what the heck was that? Then you get, like a few seconds later, you hear LeAnne, hey.
In kind of a whisper over everybody's talking.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
And you can tell in that moment, people are continuing to ask this question, and nobody reacts to the voice.
I heard it
over. And then when it's played back to the room during the investigation, play it back, let everybody hear it. You get oohs and ahs, and holy craps.
Yeah, I was kind of done that night because it was when we had first started the public investigation, and I was running it, and another teammate was helping. And I was like, hey, let's just try to communicate. Let's try to run maybe a 360 EVP, see if we get anything. And I was not expecting that at all. So like Todd said, being there at the hospital and spending the night so much, they get to where they know you. Clearly, because they knew my name.
And Ernie and Denise can speak to that about Waverly. They were there every night in some cases, and became real familiar with some of the more famous energies or spirits there.
That story of him telling everybody good night and leaving.
Oh yeah.
And hearing William say "night, boss" or whatever he said.
Right.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, that's the coolest. That's one of the coolest stories I've heard on this show.
Well, I mean, I've got an EVP of William. I asked what his favorite color was.
The camo.
And the camo.
That was crazy.
But as we were there in the moment, it sounded like he said yellow. And I struggled with that all night long until we got back home that Sunday, and played it over the headphones to where I could hear it clearly. And there's a digital sound in there to where it says camo. And I went running through the house and threw the headphones at her and said, listen to this. And it's like I said, no matter how long you've been doing this, we still get those giddy moments. And
I bet that's crazy. I didn't know what a 360 was till yesterday when you let me listen to that one.
Yeah.
Well, and I just sent you the one where it said LeAnne, hey. Yeah, that one was literally class A. And it's crazy. And going back, there was somebody else that talked about necrophonics.
Yeah. Kassan, is it Kassan? Is that how you say it?
Kassan, yeah.
Kassan, don't worry about the questions. You're good, brother. As far as necrophonics being more reliable than Spirit Stalker, I'm not familiar with Spirit Stalker, and I can't really speak to that. But a lot of the things that are out there that are apps that we've used, necrophonics is by far the most reliable that we've done out there, and really does not appear to have the learned capability.
It's the first thing you always hear from the apps is don't use them, but then you talking about that one like that really speaks volumes, because you never hear people saying they're good.
Or Spirit Talker, yeah. But I mean, when we do the Estes method from time to time,
Oh yeah, I was about to ask about that. Go on.
We'll use the SB7 a lot, but we have gotten to the point to where we actually use necrophonics on a slowed down version as the device for the Estes method. And I mean, there's been people that have been a little overwhelmed when they're using necrophonics because you get a lot of chatter and a lot of what appears to be a lot of energies or a lot of spirits trying to talk through at the same time. But we've had real successful and meaningful direct answers using necrophonics. And
you actually got a gunshot. Yeah.
One of the and Ernie was at it was LeAnne, Ernie, Denise, and I, and another group of people, and this was at the same jail. We were upstairs in the what they call the Civil War room, and then like a children's room. I was doing the necrophonics Estes method, full sensory deprivation, sound counseling headphones, blindfold, the whole 9 yards. Billy, the curator, came up and handed Ernie a trigger item that was a pistol. And when they came into the room, and we were actually doing a dual Estes method, to where there were 2 people in 2 different rooms under. And he was standing in the hallway or the breezeway between the 2 rooms and asked, "What's in my hand?" I think the person that was in the other room said, "Bad, bad." Ernie pulled the hammer back on the pistol.
Oh.
And I said, "Click, click."
I mean, immediate.
Ernie pulled the trigger, and I said, "Bang."
Oh, so you were like doing the Estes. I'm following up here, and you're saying you don't know what's happening.
Right.
Here.
I was fully under.
Oh shit.
Sound canceling headphones. I was blindfolded. The other person in the other room was blindfolded.
Totally.
And
when you said click, click, I'm like, why would you say it? Oh, he's doing this. Yeah.
Yeah. He pulled the trigger back, and I said, "Click, click." And then he pulled the trigger. I pulled the hammer back. I said, "Click, click." He pulled the trigger, and I said, "Bang." All while being under the Estes method.
Yeah. And, doing the dual Estes like that was really cool to see that. We had never done that before.
We had done it once before at
Octagon
Hall. We had people up on the 3rd floor and people down in the dining room, and had a series of questions that we were asking just to see if the 2 areas of the house could answer those questions pretty well.
It's odd that the scientific community doesn't do the Estes method more, doesn't give it more credence, because it seems to be exactly what they want out of it. I'm going to see if I can play that EVP if you don't mind.
Okay.
Unless you want me to be private, then let me know.
No, please.
So, son of a, I'm clicking wrong. Let's see if it works.
Nellie, how's your night been?
Can you hear
far?
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nellie, how's your night been so far?
Nellie, how's your night been so far?
Nellie, how's your night been so far?
Nellie, how's your night been so far? Nellie, how's your night been so far?
Oh.
Nellie, how's your night been so far?
Nellie, how's your night been so far? Hey Nellie, how's your night been so far? Hey Nellie, how's your night been so far?
Well, I heard it.
We've had a few people listen to this, and of course, when we tell them about this, there's the 2 definite ones that we hear, that sigh about the first way through, and then the definite LeAnne, hey.
And you can tell, with that whole, conversation, no one hears it. Clearly. Let him play that again.
Yeah, that was incredible. I heard it in my giant super duper headphones. I was like, holy jeez.
Nellie, how's your night been so far?
Nellie, how's your night been so far?
Nellie, how's your night been so far? Nellie, has your night been so far?
God, get that off me.
Yeah. So you can
Oh
imagine
my God.
you can imagine how I felt, because normally in Nellie's room, it's she actually was a patient there that had Alzheimer's, dementia, and she passed in the corner of that room, and she was typically one to shut the door. She loved to use dowsing rods. So I'm not expecting to have a male voice, you know, clearly say my name. And like we would stay there, Friday night and then again on Saturday night, and we would help, run the public investigations, and we did that for close to 2 years.
It was about 18 months.
18 months, and being there every weekend, they get to know you. So yeah.
Oh,
No, that's Mr. Burns. That's nowhere near demonic,
Oh, that's Mrs. Burns.
or Mrs. Burns.
Mitchell.
Yeah, regardless, it's nowhere demonic. None of these locations that we've been to have really anything demonic.
No.
And I'll go ahead and tell you, a lot of us share this same opinion. If you were an asshole in life, you're an asshole in
I
death.
agree.
And
I
there
heard
are
that so many times on the show.
there are 17.
That's
yeah,
right,
yeah,
Ernie.
about that. But the again, some of us have been doing this. I've been doing this for 15 or so years. I think Ernie and Denise have been doing it a little longer than we have. And, LeAnne and I personally, I don't believe we've experienced anything demonic.
Mm-mm.
We've experienced a few curmudgeons in our time. But, there are things out there that may want to appear as being demonic just to kind of scare you away.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well, in this location, it had a lot of, there's several doctors that had passed that were there.
What was this again, by the way?
This was Haunted South Pittsburgh Hospital in.
Oh, South Pittsburgh. Okay,
Yeah.
carry on.
it's a great place to investigate.
Yeah, it is.
And
It's very, very active. Obviously, and
I bought so much beer in South Pittsburgh. Those ghosts know me too.
yeah.
But there's nothing demonic there. In Waverly Hills, there's nothing demonic there either. Like I said,
Mhm.
there's just some crotchety dead people, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and going back to Waverly Hills, we had an experience there that Ernie and Denise were a part of. Todd was walking on another floor, and we, would help do the overnight investigations on Friday night and Saturday night. We were there for how long? It was
From 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Yeah, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
This happened about 5:45.
Yeah, this was about 5:45 in the morning. And what we would do is, once the night was getting close to being over, we would go up on the floor and we would do a sweep of the floor just to get everybody off the floor and get them back into the cafeteria to let them know that the night was over with. And so as we went up the stairs, me and Denise decided we would do the sweep of the fourth floor. We'd gone the fifth floor, we came down, and then was doing the sweep of the fourth floor. We started at the emergency exit and would continue walking through the hallway and, say, hey, if anybody's here on the floor, go ahead and get your equipment or anything and meet us in the cafeteria. Well, as we're walking on that floor, there's a girl that steps out of one of the rooms. And so I see her. I look over at Denise and I said, Denise, do you see that girl right there? And she's like, yeah, let's go ahead and tell her, it's the end of the night. And so as we're walking up on her, and mind you, we're probably 6 feet from this girl. We were very close. This girl disappears. She is completely gone.
Like within the eyesight of her, like you was seeing her when it happened.
I could see her hair. I saw what she was wearing. I mean, I had full description of this girl. And so I didn't realize, and Denise didn't either, Ernie was coming up behind us. And as he's coming up, Ernie goes, "Holy shit, did you just see that?" Well, Denise turns around, looks at Ernie, and she goes, "Well, yeah, we were right up on her." So, I mean, clearly Denise saw a girl, I saw a girl, and then Ernie sees this girl. And so, I mean, that blew my mind because, that was clear as day. She was completely gone.
To see something like that just right when it happens is insane.
It was. Yeah. Yeah, that was one of those moments. You sit there and question. You're like, what the crap just happened? And that was pretty cool. It was cool that it was three of us.
Yeah, that you all three saw it was crazy. Was it a pop disappeared, or was it just like a fade in and a fade out?
She just disappeared. I mean, it wasn't a fade in, fade out. I mean, it was just like she was there and then she was gone.
Like somebody flipped the switch,
right?
The way they describe it.
I can't. My little human mind won't even see it.
Yeah.
I can't.
I apologize to Miss Burns if I came across harsh with what I said, but a lot of people think a dark entity or something that is foul when it comes through, or something like you mentioned there was very distressed. I mean, it may come across as demonic, but typically it's not. It is what it is. It's something that's distressed or something that doesn't understand what happened to them or why they're in the state that they are. And a prime example, a lot of the places that we investigate have been hospitals.
I keep talking. I'm gonna be right back. I'm gonna run to the restrooms.
Okay. Mm-hmm. A lot of the places that we investigate,
I can still hear you.
Okay. A lot of the places that we investigate have been hospitals. And if you think about it, the front door or the front lobby of a hospital is going to be the most emotional area in any part of the building. And it's going to go from one extreme to the other. From the fact that, somebody comes in who is sick or on their deathbed, or they come in and they die. That emotion coming into the hospital, that family's emotion of leaving the hospital, leaving a loved one behind. There are also other places in there and in those hospitals to where people come in sick and, are upset that their family members are sick. And then luckily they've recovered and they're leaving with a clean bill of health as they go out. You take it from one extreme to the other to where people are happy and, from having children being born, living their life and having somebody die. It takes you emotionally from one extreme to the other. And that's kind of what goes through in the hospitals. But again,
I've never thought about that before like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a charged area.
I mean, it's a very charged area, and that energy fluctuates through the entire hospital, everywhere from the ORs to the ERs to the patient rooms. I mean, you've got those influxes of energy that are both good and bad, if that's the way you want to look at it.
Yeah, and it's almost like a signature to that location. In that certain room, you've got that strong signature energy there.
And like you say, yes, residual energy is actually very interesting. One of the things that we talk about when we're doing our investigations is, we talk about there being two types of haunts. First type of a haunt is a residual haunt. So let's kind of take it down to a smaller scale. You've got a house that was built in the early 1800s. Well, there's been renovation to the house or rooms added to the house, but you see something going through the house and it looks like it passes through a wall. Well, during that energy's time, that wall wasn't there. That was probably a door. And you're seeing that residual moving through the house and going through a door, rather than the wall that was added in 19 1980. The other extreme of that is the intelligent haunts. Those are the haunts that where we're communicating with, that sees us, we see them, feels us, we feel them. It's those full body apparitions that respond to what we're doing. It's the EVPs to where we're getting, definite answers to the questions that we're asking. Um, that sort of thing. The interaction back and forth is that intelligent. Um, the that sort of thing, and it's hard for some of us to understand all the time, but I mean, that's why we're in it, is to try to understand.
Mm-hmm.
And the question about demons being real, I agree. I think demons are real. I think demons exist. And you put it perfectly. They are not as common as some of the TV shows. And I'm not going to name names, but there are people out there that do.
I'm begging you to name names right now. I'm begging you to do it. Please.
Exactly. But but the thing about it, and the thing that's hurting some of the locations that are out there, are some of these. And I know you do YouTube, so this is not pointed at you. Some of the YouTubers that are out there that are using this for clickbait, that go into these locations, and you have the aghast look, and something is demonic in this location, and it's a Sunday school in a church, and it's demonic. But
thumbnails always them being scared.
Yeah, that right there, and it's clickbait, and it's to help them monetize. There are locations that have location owners that have gotten together and have actually put clauses in the contracts that they have these people sign. Some of them have to review the files before you can post it publicly. There are other locations that, if you mention demon and this, that, and the other, you'll be banned from the property, and there's litigation involved.
And it's important because, these historic locations, they have kids that come in field trips, and so the teachers might be looking up, oh, let me see what, YouTube's got on these locations. And the first thing that pops up is demonic, of
clickbait.
Of some certain location that clearly by no means is. And it's sad because it gives that location, this horrible reputation that's not true. And that's important to us personally. I know to Ernie and Denise too. And several of our, paranormal friends, that please keep the history in there. I mean, and always
do your homework.
And don't just, put something crazy out there just for clickbait, because it's sad, because that's not the true history by any means, and that is clearly not what's happening. I know at where we're at the Bell Witch, it has been extremely positive there. It is very Native American. That is clearly one of the things that they have there. The Trail of Tears were close by. So you've got that, and you've got the Red River that flows through there. So you've got a lot of elements to a haunting there. You've got
shameless plug, great book, Brandon Alvis, Mustafa Galori. You just said the name of the book. Elements of a Haunting.
Oh yeah.
And you've got all those things in there, and so that amps up the energy in a location. And I mean, we have got it's been extremely positive. So that's important to us.
Wasn't he there yesterday? The Bell Witch guy.
Yeah, Mustafa. No, the guy that was there yesterday was Pat Fitzhugh.
Yeah,
he's more.
Yeah, that's right.
He is a historian.
He doesn't really write based on the family accounts, but he's more of a genealogy and historian.
Yeah, well, no, he's got family stuff that he's wrote on. That he's gone to the Historical Society and researched, and different things. So he has wrote, some several books, and it's, and then the Bell Witch, they sell, and which we had yesterday at the expo. They've got a few books that family members of the Bells actually wrote, and they're fantastic too. Just having all that history in there and true facts in there, because that's important.
And some of the predictions that were made by the Bell Witch
Hmm.
are in one of the books, and so far they've been accurate and have come to fruition, and there's still a few to come.
Yeah.
But kind of like Denise said, a lot of these locations have people that were once alive at these locations that are trying to get their stories out or their stories
That's
heard.
right.
And you go into a location and there be a spirit or an energy in that location that the people don't have the correct history on. And we'll take for instance, there was a guy at a location who was said to be a drug dealer and this, that, and the other, and did all this horrible stuff. And it was being told, and they were getting a lot of negative energy or negative experiences at this location. And people would get their hair pulled or the get pushed in the hallways. And there was a gentleman at Waverly Hills, Mr. Mitchell. His story was being told totally wrong at one point.
Mhm.
And he would push people, pull women's hair, and carry on that way. Well, once that his story was told correctly and gotten right through history and through some of the work that Denise herself did and getting the story out there, the true story of what happened with his life, what happened with his family, and
Mhm.
the experience for people dealing with Mr. Mitchell changed. He was more got a little more playful. He would play with women's hair. I think he even smacked a few on the butt. It was more of a playful energy than it was, and more of a playful energy. And the experience for the people coming in changed from that negativity to a more positive
That's
environment.
right.
So to kind of ball all that up, do your homework on the locations that you go to. Get Oh yeah, there was another story there that Ernie's talking about that was the maintenance man at the hospital.
Oh yeah.
And
Wait, what? He wasn't
ma-
dead?
He was not dead.
his
Also,
name
what?
his name was Art, and he supposedly had a heart attack or something. I can't remember what the history was of Art, but he was the maintenance man, and he died at the hospital, and he was haunting the boiler room.
Yeah,
or
he had a
something.
heart attack and he died in the boiler room. I mean, and that was very much, said, and people were standing on that. This Art died, and I'm like, okay.
And we were sitting at dinner at the Cracker Barrel in South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, with the owner and some of the volunteer staff.
Hmm.
And this gentleman walks in, sits at the table next to the owner, and notice we all had, the location T-shirts on, and started asking questions. And the owner stood up and introduced himself, and the guy says, "Yeah, my name's Art. I used to be the maintenance guy over there." And everybody at the table, just kind of had this aghast look. And the owner gets up and he goes over and sits at the table with him and starts carrying on a conversation. And
He said, "Hold up."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, they had this full-blown conversation, and we actually had him come back to the hospital with us and let him give us a tour.
He actually signed the banner that was up hanging up on the wall. He put Art not dead as his signature on the banner. So, it's stuff like that that needs to be filtered through and, researched and, understood about the location, because things can get very skewed. you know.
Did he
And
have a heart attack there though? Was there any?
no,
No.
So it was just completely wrong.
it
Well,
was
he
completely
just
wrong.
decided to move on. The hospital closed, and
Yeah.
he went to a hospital. I think it was down in Alabama, and was doing the maintenance down there.
So it was just very much completely
The,
wrong.
the cool thing about it is when he did come over to the hospital and he took a tour. Of course, most everything in the hospital is shut down. The elevators don't work,
Right.
nothing. But he's basically given us a tour of the building that he used to take care of, and would point out different areas and tell us what different areas were used for.
Mm-hmm.
One of the volunteer staff actually had the recorder going as they're walking behind him, listening to everything. And as they walked past the elevators, one of the elevators dinged.
And I was running my recorder too, and I got the
And
ding.
they got the
That's
ding
been
on the
off.
elevator.
And they've
There
been
was-
off for years.
Yeah, and there was 2 recorders running. I got it on mine, and she got it on hers. And he looked at us, and he was like, "Yeah, that's what the elevator sounded like when they were running." I was like, "What in the world? That just happened."
Boom, boom.
Yeah.
No, in a hospital, that'd be the scariest thing. You know, there is even this is anecdotal, and it's nothing on you, but even like you said, the story of meeting Art at the Cracker Barrel in South Pittsburgh. Well, there's not even a Cracker Barrel in South Pittsburgh. It's in Kimball.
Well, yeah.
Exactly.
I'm just messing with you.
Oh, that's fine.
That's our Smoky Mountain trip stop. So I know all about that.
Yeah.
But, kind of going back through that and saying all that, do your research. Know what you're doing when you get in there. Spend time with the people that own the location if you have that opportunity. Let them tell you the history. And then as part of your investigation, go prove that history that you're being told. See if you get any of your evidence back that either disputes or conflicts or verifies the information that you're given. There's stories out there that people have told about different entities in different locations that make absolutely no sense that it happened that way. But then you go in there and you do your paranormal investigation, and you get multiple teams across the country that get conflicting information to the history, and they kind of bring it all together and could potentially change the history for a location.
That's what old Southern Gothic was talking about yesterday. Guy didn't even exist.
Right.
Yeah.
I just found out a few months ago that my favorite Savannah ghost story was fake. I was so disappointed. I'm like, that's my favorite story. And the one about Renee Rondolia, the big old slow kid down there.
You go back to the Bell Witch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure back in the day it was a true story that was told, handed down family to family, and then moving it through time, it turns into a folklore.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets legs, and it starts going off into different, game of spirit telephone. It starts going off into different areas or different locations or different stories. You know, we've been up there for a year now doing the investigations, and we have people come in that talk about the folklore, talk about the actual history, and then there's people that have either skewed it or made it up, or the Chinese phone drill game to where the story changes 5 people away.
Yeah.
And some of the stories that come in and they don't make sense. Our personal opinion up there of what's going on, we think it has to do with more of the natives, the Native American land.
Mm-hmm.
We think that it may be more of a elemental, that the family is pissed off, and something that was there, something's always going to be there, and it's going to protect the land.
Yeah, a land-based spirit. That's that's what I think.
And if you go back and do your research through some of those books, that's exactly what she says she is. She's always been there. She will always be there. It will always protect the land. That's in the history of the Bell Witch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they really go all Salem on them too. Whenever you watch like pop culture or something on it,
Right?
Like it's just wild.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it is the first case in Tennessee. Is the only area or the only place that has an official murder or killing by something paranormal.
That checks out.
So
oh my God, what was I going to say? What is the truth to the Andrew Jackson part of that?
No, he's
Yeah, but-
visited there.
Yeah, there's documentation that he has visited there, and
There's actually a letter of his experience while he was there.
mhm.
Seems like there's some kind of rumor involved in that I can't think of right now. I know you probably heard it before. Andrew Jackson rumor.
Yeah,
I can't remember what it was.
I got too much going through my head right
yeah.
now.
Yeah, it's fine. Have you ever seen the?
I'm doing good.
The answer is probably going to be no, but there's a show that I used to watch in college called Aqua Teen Hunger Force, and they had an episode kind of poking fun of the Bell Witch.
Mhm.
It was just like a parody called the Brood Witch, and it was a sandwich that was a witch.
No,
It was
I didn't
making
see
fun.
that one.
Every time somebody mentions Adams, Tennessee, and the Bell Witch, I think of that stupid episode I watched in my apartment when I was inebriated. He's sitting there.
Oh, I missed that one.
It's a stupid show. You would not like it, I promise.
Right.
I have a bad sense of humor, but the main character is the main character is it's a drink from a fast food place. He's just with eyes. He's a cup. and the ghost is telling him don't eat the sandwich because it'll haunt you forever. And he's just like, it's a good sandwich. He keeps getting cursed. He's getting cursed every time. It's dumb. Kevin says it's a great show. Kevin's a Tennessee fan, so he knows about good TV.
Oh, okay.
He's a Tennessee fan.
Yeah, bless his heart.
How's he doing from yesterday? And thank you, by the way, Kevin, for the compliment.
Yeah, he's doing good. He's got his expectation lowered.
Oh, okay.
If he sees me in the hall, he starts doing that Peyton Manning thing that I hate to the core.
But I just want to
Because
know,
it ruined my childhood when Peyton did
lit
that.
his cigar before halftime.
He said he's fine. We troll each other so hard. It's all fun. He's a good representation of the fan base, and I am not on the other end.
Yeah, well, I see another one of my best friends is in the room and
Yeah,
said hello. Eileen
Hey,
Jones.
sister.
I didn't say that. Pop in there.
Yeah,
I know these two. I know those guys.
Yeah,
don't tell her I said this, but she's kind of awesome.
she is. She's
Yeah.
amazing.
We all love Eileen.
Yeah, Ernie really loves her. You wait till you get to ask him questions about Eileen.
Ernie. Well, yeah, you must have went to bed. I ain't seen her from
I
him.
bet he did.
Oh man, wait,
Yeah.
yeah, he was a little tired when he left here. this
Yeah.
morning.
I was going to make a joke about how he didn't allow Wake Forest fans at Fort Duffield, but the moment passed. I'm going back. Demon
He
Deacons.
did well, no.
Oh, Ernie's back. Welcome back up. Eileen's back. Man, we just did an hour and 17 minutes quick.
Yes, we
Yeah.
did.
I'm sorry for running over. I feel like Ernie now.
There's no run over. There's no time here. The only thing is I drank too much coffee beforehand and had to take a break.
And again.
Speaking of, I will wrap up here in a second, but when you said about the history of a place, like Ernie did that investigation with the nurse that got her name smeared for being promiscuous when in reality Ernie did his homework and found out it was a scandal inside the hospital. And
and that's
won't
one of the
spoil
things, that's kind of what I alluded to earlier, and I just didn't want to steal their thunder.
yeah, I'm not going to spoil it.
502 and
Yeah, that's his tattoo. That's what
Yeah.
I meant. He told me about that.
Yep.
yeah, they got those tattoos, and I always call them 1004. 502 and 502. Yeah. Anyway.
Stop mathing. I went to Alabama. I don't know how to do that.
But I mean, and that's kind of what I alluded to about people across the country
Mhm.
finding out the same information. And that particular area, 502 of the hospital, is what actually brought Ernie and Denise together. That spirit. Like she said, she's always with them, Sarah, and she comes to visit us. And
Thank you, Eileen.
she keeps us all in line, I think. And she developed a really strong bond between the two of them, and their story is awesome. And
Yeah.
that's one of those things that people need to hear them tell.
Mm-hmm.
And
You can hear it here on Halloween night.
Yep.
Straight out of the Pac-Man's mouth.
It'll be awesome.
And the passion that those two have or have for that location, for that particular spirit, is above anything else I've ever experienced.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Um,
it's pretty wild.
the,
Pretty
the,
neat.
the passion that the two of them have for the paranormal is kind of awesome too, and we all feed off of that when we're all together.
Mhm.
And yeah, and again, thank you, Eileen. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Well, she knows what she's doing anyway.
Yeah. The it's one sided. It's actually, but yeah, I think Ernie was the first person I ever heard mix the being a paranormal investigation that had the Bigfoot sighting.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've heard of several since, obviously, because I dig deeper and
Well,
he's also
I told on Ernie earlier, so I'm going to tell on Denise now. Ernie and Denise were out at a location, and Denise come across a snake or something on the ground, and she took off running the opposite direction and ended up on top of the van and stayed there all night long up until they heard something that they thought may or may not have been a squatch. At that point, Denise comes off the top of the van and
Yeah.
comes off the top of the van and
I feel you.
goes after whatever this energy or whatever this was, while Ernie is standing behind the van with his hand on his 45 or 40, whichever he had. So Ernie was hiding behind the 40 and Denise was chasing it down. And that's the thing about it too. Ernie and I will go on these investigations with these women. And there's another one that it wasn't a squatch,
It wasn't,
a spirit
yeah.
that hated women. Oh, okay, well, anyway, that's a great segue into my next statement.
Okay.
Ernie and I will go on these investigations with LeAnne and Denise, and our other para sister,
Yeah.
Beth Allen. And when something happens, and that knucklehead too, she'll do the same
Eileen
thing.
too. Yeah.
And something happens, and well, okay, I'm not perfect.
You should just start making stuff up about it right now. Can't do anything about it. I'll shut chat off and everything.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing about it is, I may have ran two stories together, but I get my point across.
Yeah, it's like Hollywood.
Yeah.
Nobody want Rudy. No one wanted Rudy on the field.
We've been in locations and heard things and seen things, and Ernie and I will be standing there and looking at each other, and then look back, and they're gone. And it's like, okay, where'd they go? And then you hear them running towards whatever the noise or the energy or whatever it was. We were out at a place in Texas,
Ballinger. Yeah.
with Eileen, and we're standing in the hallway.
I scared the crap
And
out of.
a door or something moved, and LeAnne's on one side, Eileen's on the other, and they both punch me and then take off after it. So, I mean, it is what it is. Yeah, Old Park Hotel.
Yep.
You ever go to some place that's really famous, like not quite Waverly famous, and just have nothing happen?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Just be duds.
We've
Yeah,
been to
yeah.
Waverly and nothing happened.
I mean,
Well, you've been
Yeah.
there. But, yeah, okay.
I mean, it's the common thing. It's like fishing.
Yeah.
You go out one day and you'll catch a mess of them and have a great day, and you go out the next day and absolutely nothing will happen. You won't get a single bite, but you always got that saying,
Good day fishing's better than a bad day at work.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Bad day fishing's better than a good day at work.
Yeah, bad day fishing's better than a good day
Yeah.
at work. Yes, and we appreciate you, Denise. We know that you try to protect Ernie and I.
That's right.
She seemed like she had control of had her finger on the pulse of everything yesterday.
If
Leading her around.
even
She's like a
if-
press
if-
secretary to Joe Biden, leading him around.
If she didn't have her finger or have some remnants of control, you would have seen a whole different side of Denise.
Oh, I wanted to apologize too about I did not get your picture because I didn't want it, but there kept being a crowd there, and the whale lady
Yeah.
was there. So I'm like, okay, I'll come back, and then But I did want to get your picture. I didn't just I didn't photo snub you or anything.
Oh no,
All
no,
right,
no.
that's all
You're good. You are good.
I didn't know if you noticed that or not. I said I was going to, but then the whale
Well,
lady's like,
I did
this
think
whale.
something about it, you know.
Well, and I want to thank you too because you got pictures, of people speaking and stuff. So,
Yeah.
I appreciate.
Yeah,
that
the
too.
panel pic, that was a good one.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, we got that what you just said. That gives us something to talk about later that we can't talk about on air.
Yeah,
Yeah, I didn't know what was happening.
I didn't. Well, we
I
didn't.
got the hell out. That's what I did.
Right.
It's a
It,
whale,
it was
whale of a
definitely
tail, as they say.
history.
It was definitely. That's a good way of putting it.
The type of folks. It reminded me of how I get people on this show, and I just ask everybody. Oh my God,
Oh yeah.
inappropriate.
Well,
This the
there's
train
that.
wrecks you draw.
Yeah, there's that.
It's crazy. I felt like that even though there were people that there yesterday that said it was a light crowd, and people behind me got mad. I thought it was my first one, so I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic.
I mean, we were.
First few hours were amazing.
It was.
I mean, I felt like I talked more yesterday than I did in a long time.
Hmm. Yeah, that
Also,
group did awesome putting
yeah,
that
I mean,
together.
they could have done it any better with the resources they had.
That's right.
Everything was on the field as far as I was concerned. What else do you want? And it
Yeah.
happened on the Tennessee Alabama game day, so your two
Right.
states.
So
It was
true.
going to shut off. It was going to shut off when it did.
Hmm.
You know, and people said that probably did have a lot to do with the people that were coming out.
Totally.
Hmm.
So
Also, I heard my name said 3 times in my ear in my booth. I'm just saying, and it was like, I looked like at least 3 times. I don't know if I was hearing the same syllable.
Right.
I was like, "What is this place haunted? Have we done something to hitchhiker affect this place?"
there was a lucky winner that won the ticket to Fort
Mhm.
Duffield.
Fort Duffield. She's gonna love that
She's
place.
gonna love that place. Ernie and Denise do a really good job up there, and it's a really good cause. They're trying to bring back the old earthen fort that's up there. They are actually having a raffle for a one night only investigation of the real Ditto House Inn. That's what she's saying. You want to see haunted? Go to their house.
And their house is
And
haunted.
their house is
For
haunted.
sure.
And she said up in there a little bit earlier that her house has gotten to know us, and they get our name a lot there.
Yeah, I mean, and we've investigated their house on 2 different occasions ourselves.
Multiple.
Mhm.
And you get doors opening on command. She's got a like kind of a china cabinet area, and we noticed the door was actually shut walking through, and then we go sit down and continue investigating, and we go back into that area because we kept seeing shadows go across, in that area.
Mhm.
So we walked back in there to see, kind of what's going on, and we did have REM pod activity. And so go back in there, and the door to the china cabinet was sitting wide open. So we then ask, okay, we're going to go ahead and close this, and we secure it to the point we secured it and started pulling on it to make sure it was totally shut. It wasn't loose or anything.
Jumped around on the floor just
Yeah,
to make
we
sure
jumped up
there
and
was no-
down. And so I asked, I said, we watched, we saw it open. Can you do it while we're standing here? I kid you not, the door, there it goes. It opens on command.
And I'm standing about this far from the door. And,
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah, and so we shut it again, and we ask again.
Do that
And,
again.
yeah, and it opens
Pops
on.
open, and I moved out of the way.
Yeah. So, and she said after we left, because we had spent the night and everything, and we had left the next day, that week she was having, different cabinets opening. She would walk in a room and know that cabinet had been shut, and not just that one, but it was other ones in the house the doors were opening.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, they have some really cool stuff happen there. They
Mhm.
have, rocks show up in the middle of of different rooms on the floor, like something a child would bring a rock in and set it on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
They had one night and that they had a REM pod set up, and it went off. And when Ernie went over there to kind of check things, there were Denise. What kind of flowers were they sitting on the counter? But they had some fresh flowers, like they were just freshly picked from outside, sitting on the counter, and nobody had come or gone from the house that day. It's
Just
just
random flowers.
Yeah, it's like I said, just extremely active.
But
So-
I mean, it's not only the house is active. Yeah, great myrtles.
Great myrtles.
From their yard was found in the house next to the REM pod. You know, but they've had footsteps during the night. They've had, I guess
She said it happened like every night during the week.
Mm-hmm.
Come up the stairs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But the activity that they have in that house is unexplainable. I mean, it's just there's no real rhyme or reason. The history of the house, a lot of stuff that happens there does appear to coincide with the history of the house. You know, she hears disembodied voices up there.
Yeah, and we've gotten EVPs. You know, some of them we can't tell what they're saying, but you know, they're saying something. You just can't make it out. And like she said, a man telling, "Are they ready yet?" You know, and it's a cool place.
And one of the things that has happened up there that just puts my mind at awe is Ernie's boots that stay either under his bed.
Yeah, rocking chairs, rocking.
rocking.
Yeah, and I actually saw that firsthand.
And Ernie's boots that are usually kept upstairs were found downstairs sitting on top of an end table. And he would never put his shoes on an end table.
Right.
And like I said, he kept his boots upstairs. You know, how did that happen?
How do you handle? Well, I guess they're used to it. I can't imagine.
Yeah, they are.
But they are used to it, and you know, it's just like with anything. You know,
Yeah,
they
desensitized.
They not necessarily that word.
Desensitized.
It's a hard one. Spell it out.
Yeah, not necessarily that, but you know, they claim their property. It's okay for you to communicate with us, but you know, at this time, I need you to settle down and be quiet and we sleep on this side.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, anybody that has activity in their home, you know, it's simply you need to be the one taking control.
I think that'd be the part of that would get it from me is that night stuff. Just
right
foot of the bed kind of crap. No, man.
Yeah, waking up and having something standing there. No.
Yeah, oh yeah. William showed up at the house one night, and I woke up and he was standing there.
And William was the caretaker at Waverly Hills at one point. And Todd wakes up just like freaked me out because he screamed, you know, and it startled him. I mean, obviously anybody had startled, you know, and I was like, what is going on? Because I was sound asleep. And that was crazy.
But yeah, I mean, we've had people show up, our energy show up at the house, and you know, like she said, actually have to tell them to settle down. People need to start communicating with.
We've been on long enough for Duffy to show up. Time to wrap her up. Door's been open long. The riffraff came in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like Denise said, it gets to a point to where she lays the law down, and everybody has to go their separate ways and give us a break. But you know, kind of in line with what Mr. Duffy's saying, you know, a lot of us out here are God-fearing people. We are religious in our own way. We have our angels that protect us. We pray. You know, some of us are witches. Some of us, you know, or whatever. But we are all, for the most part, God-fearing. And again, we have our protection with us, and the angels and crystals and the whole 9 yards. But we all do it in a little bit different way. But ultimately, at the end of the day, we put everything in the hands of the higher power.
Yeah, you always have to. You have to in that scenario.
Yep.
You don't be out there just like a hot, like it's like a raw wire just exposed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Mr. Duffy, I'd love to find that cemetery with you and go out and see the shadow people. I mean, that's
yeah.
I don't know if you heard the part about the ladies in our group, taking off and running after stuff like that. And that's what they do.
I think Duff may be in our quadrant over here. I don't know for sure, but I think he's either in Indiana or Ohio or closer to us. Probably Washington State. Now that I'm sitting here talking. Yeah, he's just a drive's difference. He's in Sydney, Australia.
I like that statement he made that he was outside feeding his Bigfoot.
Yeah,
he's a Bigfoot. He's got a Bigfoot channel.
That's
all right,
awesome.
That's cool.
I think he's got a lot of just him outside with him.
He's another one that we need to bring up to Fort Duffy,
Colorado. See, I was way off.
I'd love to go up to Colorado and do some investigating up there.
He's too busy talking about Deion Sanders to come in here and he's.
Yeah, about
well,
Deion,
guys,
Deion coach at Alabama.
Well, maybe he'd be a good DC or OC.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah. Well, it's been a fun night. I'll let you get back to your. I'm starting to get that adrenaline rush. I don't want to end it, so that's when I want to end it.
All right.
That's okay. She's over here telling me to wrap it up.
It's okay.
She's doing what Denise does to Ernie.
Stop it! Stop!
Keep it up.
Yeah.
Stop encouraging him.
Yeah.
Well, it's been fun. Where do you where can you guys be reached? I've got your Facebook profile on the description, but is there any other place you have?
That's the easiest place to get in touch with us is through Facebook Messenger.
Hold up, because
she knows all.
I do the social media.
Hold up. So, not so fast.
So Facebook, Instagram, you can find us there. Either place, we get instant messages either place. So yeah, reach out to us anytime.
Buy one of these sweet T-shirts.
That's right.
That's our Bell Witch team shirt. It's got the Bell Witch cave on the front with a howling wolf, and the back has our team name, the Black Wolf Paranormal.
And in a couple of weeks, I'll be slim enough to wear it out in public. It's going to be amazing. I'll be like a walking billboard because now I'm like a walking sausage link with this thing on.
But thank you.
I appreciate y'all being on.
Yes, thank you so much.
Turn the music back up and see everybody. Thanks everybody for watching. You drew a good crowd. You might have to come back every week. I'm just saying.
Anytime you need us, reach out.
Yeah, it's been fun. Maybe get a panel on here with some of y'all fellas. Get Eric back on here. Thanks for watching, folks.